Okay, so I chose an article from Transition Abroad about working in Japan. Why I chose this article: the author is a part-time school teacher working 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. So he had that constant interaction between him and children of the Japanese culture. So he had to make noticeable differences to the way that he operated. Uh, and the managers have a high chance of dealing with people from Japan as Japan has grown and continues to grow throughout the years, being the fourth largest GDP. Japan is a pretty formal workplace. Uh, there is no casual days or no going to work without a suit or tie, and you have to wear that despite the season. Uh, the salarymen are constantly around the streets wearing that type of stuff. It's extremely uncommon that somebody doesn't wear formal workwear as a salaryman, which can differ greatly from the American system, where it's a little bit more lax in the recent years. We have the principle of Hohenso, which is report, contact, consult. In America, we like to be autonomous when we work. In Japan, it's much less so like that, where you're working by yourself constantly. You have a boss or a manager who will constantly listen to things, definitely about big internal decisions or about pain points between certain employees. Um, the idea of this is that tough decisions should be gone through by a supervisor, uh, and they're going to listen to you whether they agree or disagree, and they might voice it afterwards. But either way, they're going to listen to you, and they want that interaction to know what's going on the ground level, which differs a lot from the American system. Work punctuality. In America, people tend to try to show up on time and leave on time. And it's pretty much the opposite way in Japan, where you have to arrive 45 minutes to an hour early. Even the author, who only worked for 3 hour days, would arrive an hour early. And even though he had everything set up for it, he was just sitting in the class because that's what was expected of him and what was needed of him. And when you leave late, it's considered somewhat offending to the people who are still working because they have this group type of structure. Whereas if you have people still working and you're leaving, then it's something that you need to apologize for because you're not helping that person. So you have lots of people who are lower ranking and want to move up the chain who tend to work longer hours so that they can get picked up by their superiors and eventually brought up. It's not necessarily a negative thing, but it is something that if you don't do, you don't get shown in the positive light. And of course, there's the stereotype that the Japanese work hard, play hard, but the author notes that that pretty much is true, and that invitations sent for after working hours activities are pretty common, and that by declining one, you're declining a gift from that person. So no matter your reason, it's expected that you're going, and while they're asking it to you, it's more of it's not something that you really can say no to. Because it can be considered rude and offending to your superiors, and it's something that you want to avoid in the managerial world. Definitely, if they offer you to go out after and mingle. They have Genki and Kambata, which the author notes, and speaking as a teacher, he had to try to strive for this. Genki meaning do things in an energetic manner, and Gambata meaning things to do, to do your best. They expect you to have a smile on your face and try hard working. And as a teacher, he found that to be somewhat difficult sometimes. So he started using dance and song with his students to try to maintain that high level of energy and keep a smile on his face. Because he said the second your boss would see you without a smile on your face, you would be cast in a bad light. And when it comes to implementation, these cultural distinctions can definitely be brought into any workplace. If you have a large amount of Japanese culture within your grouping, you can try to be a more hands-on supervisor, hands-on manager, where you are open to people coming in and expressing grievances, or trying to tell you that there's a way that maybe something could be done better. You can leave your door more open to that and get away from this autonomous structure that Americans are kind of prone to. Along with that, keeping the smile on your face, making an energetic environment can be done pretty easily. You can still hype people up a little bit to things. You can be accommodating, which will lead to happier people working for you. But you can also do more after-hours activities, and some companies do this, where they have meetings, or every quarter they'll do something, and that type of system can also make them both feel more included and get better results out of employees, because they feel like they're part of a group and they're not stranded off by themselves.